Welcome back. It's your best friends. It's Austin and
It's Sean.
how you doing, man?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. You are back home. You're
I
back.
am. This is
Yeah.
the normal background that everyone
Ah,
is familiar with. That's not probably not true. I've gone through like so many backgrounds during
that's
the
true.
course of this podcast because I started it out
Yeah.
in school. Um, but yeah, I'm back home. I'm back from the trip. Uh,
Give your trip a rating, the whole trip, a rating 1 to 10, 10 being the best. No, let's go 1 to 12.5.
one to
12.5
12.5.
being the best and one being the worst.
Hmm. I'd give it a 10. 10
All
out of
right.
12.5. Really, really high, really, really fun. Super fun. I got to do it with one of my homies. Uh, I would say the biggest downside from it was just the amount of money I spent. Was not happy to spend as much money as I did. I
That
kind of,
was my whole
I,
thought when you guys were going into it. I was like, ooh.
dude, I was cringing every time I had to like use my card for something. I was like, ah.
Yeah.
um, but it's okay. We split like most things like down the middle, so wasn't too much of an issue in that regard. And I would say that I would still say it was worth the money, just being able
Nice.
to get out of my comfort zone and do something like that. Um, that's the longest I've ever traveled at once, and it was definitely the longest I've ever traveled by myself. So yeah, I'm glad I got that experience. Like by my like not with family, I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
say, not by
I know, yeah.
myself. Um,
Uh,
but
give
it was
give
fun.
the cities ranking. Top would be, or go from the bottom to the top.
Okay, bottom. Hmm. Bottom was Phoenix, but I think it was probably because we spent very little time there and didn't do as much as I probably would have liked to. But even then, I still think it might be at the bottom. I don't know. I think it was the time of year we went. One, it was really hot and it was monsoon season, so it was like more humid than I was expecting. We're bringing back the humid thing every time, every episode.
Every time, yeah.
Um, so yeah, and we just didn't get into as much stuff as I probably would have hoped. So that's going at the bottom of the list. Next would probably be, at least for this trip, Austin. Um, it was fun, super enjoyable. It was just really exhausting. Um, and it was really, really hot. Um, so yeah. Then there was San Diego. San Diego, second place, beautiful. Just the weather was gorgeous. Sunsets were beautiful. Um, we got to see the sunset on the beach, which was really, really nice. And yeah, it was just a really good time. And then last is Denver, Colorado.
At the
Uh,
top.
yes, Denver, Colorado wins. I thought it was the most beautiful. It's the most enjoyable time. We were there for quite a long time. It was the same amount of time as Austin, so that is a variable. But yeah, Denver definitely wins.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, now people know their next travel destination.
that's
Sean
right.
the Travel Guide.
I definitely want to do a trip like that again. I definitely want to go. I would definitely go back to all those cities again. Still, I hit my
Awesome.
monitor arm.
I saw that. Heard that.
Yes, I don't know.
Anyway,
Uh,
nice.
what's new with you? Got any new stuff?
Nope, I
Got school
don't.
starting back up.
Yeah, that's about a month, something like that. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know. Somewhere
Nice.
around there. About a month.
Nice. Gonna get back to that uh daily grind.
Yep.
So like you taught online school for like half the summer, right? And then you were just like chilling. Or not
I
taught,
taught
but like you
not online, not online, in person.
okay.
Yeah.
But it was only for like half the summer, right?
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So you're just chilling at that last half of the summer.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's sick.
It is sick, but it's also like chilling gets old.
I mean, you found stuff to do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I
um,
definitely find stuff to do,
yeah.
but
If you're
chilling does get old though.
interested in financial and self-help stuff, go to Austin's channel in the description.
Yes.
It's the good stuff.
Yes. The
Um,
shout out.
yes. I have an article.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I actually have two articles. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
you're breaking the rules.
I don't. There are no rules.
Take it back.
Take it back. All right. Well, so first of all, wow,
Oh,
I
would you
know.
look at
That's right.
that?
Your
Oh my
home for private
gosh.
music lessons, cloudmusicsuite.com. That's right.
That's beautiful.
Streamline your music journey with our seamless music lesson experience. Go to cloudmusicsuite.com if you're interested in learning an instrument or anything music related, to be honest, music theory, how to march, stuff like that. We have a series of instructors on this website that are all very
Dude,
good at their
tell this young
instruments.
man to get his pencil out of his hand while he is
Nah, dude, he's
playing
taking
his
notes.
guitar. Oh,
He's
all
taking
right. All
notes.
right. He's
Yeah,
getting
look at this.
smarter.
We got a good instructor right here.
Oh
Yeah, pretty
my
amazing.
God. Look at him.
We also have a blog.
We do. We do have a blog. It's
My
very
internet must
much
be slow
fun.
today.
Your
There we go.
internet is super slow
Yeah,
today.
we got a blog.
Oh, yeah.
So you can take a look at a bunch of music related articles. So yeah, that is cloudmusicsuite.com. Go check it out.
Love it. Today's
Uh,
sponsor.
the first article that I have is not super interesting. The title just caught my eye and I thought it was funny. NYC squirrels are splooting again. Maybe we should all try this at home.
Again?
So do you know what
Hold
splooting
on.
is?
Okay, no, I don't. Did you before you read this?
No, that's
Okay,
why
all
it
right.
got me.
Wait, dude, naturally the resurgence of this phenomenon has elicited more pressing questions. Did red-tailed hawks sploot too? Is that why my dachshund does it? Dude,
Yeah,
I'm really,
so
really confused.
it's not. Jesus, what is this video right
I don't
here?
know. Oh,
That's
that's like
brutal.
really,
Um,
yeah.
sometimes it feels like rodents have it too easy. Can't we sploot too? It might look strange for humans, but splooting, basically stretching the body out, is the top way our four-legged friends or enemies try to beat the heat. Pug sploots are particularly epic if you had the chance to witness one. And if you see any squirrels in New York City parks doing the same thing, lying on their stomachs and stretching their back legs out behind them, parks officials want you to know they're not in any danger. So this is splooting. It's basically just it's just like you ever like bring your dog in from like being outside and they just kind of like lay their arms and
Yeah,
legs out on the ground.
I've definitely
Yeah,
seen some animals do that.
that's splooting. I mean,
That's such a
that's
funny
basically it.
name for it.
I know. It's like they were like, we need a name for this, and they asked like, I don't know, somebody in preschool to just like
I was about to
say
say,
something
yeah.
funny.
A 7-year-old, they were like,
They're like sploot,
sploot.
sploot, sploot, and they're just like, yes, this is splooting. This is exactly what this is. So, if you're looking for a new word to add to your vocabulary, splooting is it. Because I'm gonna try to sneak this one in. I'm just taking a little sploot,
Do it.
because it's
I'm
so
just
hot out.
just taking a sploot.
It sounds like something else.
Yeah,
But
it does.
it's possible, of course, that humans could try this on tile floors. Those cold tiles are what give your pets relief when you see them splooting.
I have definitely done this. I
Yes,
haven't
me
done it
too.
in the like belly down, but I've done it the other way,
Really?
like
I've done it. I've
back
done
down.
both. It's pretty comfortable. It's really
I get really
nice.
hot like really fast, so I should
Yeah.
be a splooter.
Sometimes I'll just do it to stretch though. Sometimes I'll just lay on the ground and be like, ah! And just
No,
like
I definitely
get
do
my
that
limbs
too.
out.
Yeah,
But yeah,
very important content.
there's not much to this article. I just saw the article name and thought it was funny.
It does bring up the fact that we were in a heat wave, or has that ended? I don't even know. I don't know the
I
definition
think
of
it's
heat wave or
I
not,
think
but
yeah, I don't know the definition either. I think it's technically ended. It was pretty bad. Speaking of
it
Austin,
was.
we went right during the heat wave and that was brutal.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So same for Phoenix, but yeah. Yeah, I think we're out of the heat wave.
Thank God.
Thank God. I also saw this article and title and I thought it was funny. Is recession staring us down already upon us? Here's why it's hard to say. So yeah, recession. It's
Okay,
all over the news.
it is all over the news, dude. Can you do me a favor and go to Google Trends real quick? Can you go to Google Trends?
Let's go to
Let's
Google
see.
Trends.
Okay, click that bad boy. All right. Now type in the word recession.
It's gonna be
Check it out. Good God. If that was a stock, man, we'd be making stupid racks.
dank.
Okay. We'd be making, oh, it
Said
dropped off
dank. I meant
apparently
bank.
over the last.
Said dank, but I meant bank.
Oh my
Same thing.
God. Go to
Yeah, it has
YouTube
dropped.
search instead of web search. Go to YouTube search. I wonder if it's right
Wait,
in
what do I
the
do?
right there where it says web search.
YouTube search.
Yeah. I wonder if it's oh no, it's coming
starting to trail off.
down. All right. Anyway,
Uh,
well, everyone's
spiked
been
up
talking
in
about it. That's for sure.
June 12th to 18th. Yeah, so it is all over the news. The U.S. may register a second straight quarter of economic contraction, one benchmark of a recession, but that won't be the last word.
Dude, okay, so this article was like a little bit before, I guess, because GDP numbers already came out, and we did have two contractions of
July
GDP growth.
26th.
Yeah, so we are, by the definition, in a recession.
I was gonna say this description says that it's one benchmark, but isn't that literally the definition of recession before?
Yeah, I mean, if you went define and then colon recession right now on Google, it would say two contracting quarters of GDP growth. Right there. Now, number one, period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in two successive quarters. So yeah. That's gross domestic product, right?
So, well, it's good that that still says that because they tried to move the goalposts.
Seems like,
which is interesting.
I guess words don't mean things anymore.
that one is weird because it's like right when we get to the point where everyone's like, "Oh God, we're having a recession." Everybody, and
then they're like, "No, actually,
like,
no. What do you mean?
No.
Not even close.
Come on. I mean, if I look like they just like scratch out some of the words. Look, see, it's that. Dude, come, we're fine.
Okay, you know what's the silliest thing about the whole thing of saying we entered a recession?
What's that?
So, the end of quarter numbers come out after the quarter's over, right? Like well after the quarter's over. So right. Like quarter two info didn't come out until like very end of July, which is like a whole month after the quarter ended. So that's 4 months behind when you would have first started feeling the effects
so it's like
of
when
contracting
people are saying
GDP.
We're entering recession. It's like we're already in a recession.
But there was another one that happened before that, right? Because there was another one that contracted. So if you take 4 plus 3, that's a total 7 months. So you've been in the recession for 7 months already before anyone at the government level says we're in a recession. Like they're literally always behind. Like they're always lagging what's actually happening in real life. And it's not because, oh, well, they don't go out into the real world. Yeah, they do. Like they go to the grocery store. It's because like all these figures they use are like you have to wait until the quarter's over. And then it's like, oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We've been in trouble the whole time.
I mean, they're experiencing it just like everyone else. Well, not just like everyone else. They've got some breaks, but yeah, they're very aware of what's happening. And it's just like they're working with, you know, particular data that comes out at particular times. Does coming out of a recession, is that just mean getting to a quarter where there is GDP growth, or is it like a similar definition where it's like two successive quarters?
It's a good question.
Growth?
How do you know a recession has ended? Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm gonna look that up. How do you know that a recession has ended? My keyboard is really good for radio. How to know when a recession has? No, that's not what I want.
Has ended.
If the economy starts growing again, no matter how slowly, the economy has left the recession period.
Okay, so even a single quarter, any quarter of GDP growth, where it's over.
psu.edu.
Yeah, we'll take them for
I believe them.
Yeah, I believe them too.
Yeah, but economic output as measured by GDP fell in the first quarter of the year. Most economists still don't think the United States meets the formal definition, which is based on a broader set of indicators, including measures of income, spending, and job growth. But they aren't quite as sure as they were a few weeks ago. The housing market has slowed sharply. Income and spending are struggling to keep pace with inflation. A closely watched measure of layoffs has begun to creep up. Did you say recently that tech has experienced like some of the most layoffs this year? Yeah, so gnarly.
It's crazy, man.
It's
like once I heard we'll just say the first domino fall of like big like 10% 10% jobs of all whatever specific company were cut. I was like, oh. And then the next one, and then the next one was like week after week after week after week. And I even texted you. I was like, hey, everything good?
Yeah.
I was getting worried.
Yeah. It's very interesting because it's like it makes sense. The reason that you explained to me that would be the case, and I think we talked about it on this podcast, but I just feel like other things would get cut first. Like I don't know, it's like what? I guess where I'm at is my head is specifically on software engineering, so maybe there's a little bit of a bias to it, but I feel like you can really like cut a lot of spending in regards to like having an office space and like allowing people to work from home and stuff like that before actually having to let people go. I really don't know how that would impact.
Well, tell me what.
Revenue.
Tell me who else. What other sector should get cut first? What do you think it would make sense to cut first? Like travel sector?
I mostly just meant like spending in individual companies.
Say your point again. I misinterpreted it.
I think before, I'm surprised that like layoffs happened in like tech companies with as much cut, like things. There's a lot of things that you can cut spending on in tech more than like other sectors. And it surprises me that was like the highest
me
layoff
too.
sector.
I was like, damn, that's wild. But there was a lot of push to get people back in the office too, though.
Yeah.
Like not every company is letting people stay work from home. Like a lot of companies are like, no, like you have to come back in the office and you have this amount of time to do it, or else you're not going to be working here anymore.
Yeah.
So
Tesla, right? Tesla got
did that. Yep. Didn't Apple do it too, or they're in the process of it or something?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, I mean, apparently it didn't work out, I guess. So
pretty crazy. See what else this article say. Mr. Frankel served until 2019 on the business cycle dating committee. Agree that the risks of a recession are rising. The Federal Reserve is raising rates aggressively to try to tame inflation, which has already contributed to large declines in the stock market and a steep drop in home construction and sales. Higher borrowing costs are all but certain to lead to slower spending by consumers, reduced investment by businesses, and eventually slower hiring and more layoffs, all hallmarks of an economic downturn. So this article was a little bit before the end of the quarter, or at least when the information about the quarter came out. But we're in a recession.
We're definitely in a recession. I agree.
But yeah, I saw that article and I was just like,
well,
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. This seems to be like the consensus. It's like, well, here's the definition, and every other single time that's ever happened where we had two successive GDP shrinkage, it's like, yeah, we're in a recession now. For some reason, they're like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
It is annoying.
Anyway, this brings up a conversation we were about to have off camera, but we decided to have it on camera, and that is. I hear and see all the time on like social media. It's like, I was never taught how to do my taxes in school. I was never taught how to balance my checkbook. I still see that. I still see that on Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's because it's
like
Facebook.
no one does that anymore. I guess it's because it's Facebook. I was never taught how to apply for a mortgage. Like, bro. Okay. I'm not gonna give my opinion just yet. Let's just lay it out and say people think that this should be taught in school. Do you agree, Sean? Do you agree or disagree that in general, more like hard life skills like that are financial related should be taught in school?
I definitely think my answer is yes, but I think it would have to be in a very like particular format. I think there's a lot of strategy and opinion to like making financial decisions, and it's very dependent on the individual. So I think teaching a like standardized class would be very difficult to design, but I think what it does do is it makes the students think about finances, and I think it allows them to get more financially literate. So some kind of financial course that allows students to be able to be exposed to different strategies of saving money, investing, simple like skills like that. But it's not, it's a very unopinionated kind of course. I think is really beneficial, because I think a lot of people like get smacked in the face with like, oh, I don't know what any of these terms mean, when they start to need a checking and a savings account, and get a 401k, and like what's the best strategy for that, and I don't know what a Roth IRA is, stuff like that. So I think yes, but I think it would just have to be in a very particular format.
Here's a quick thought. You took classes in school, right?
Yeah.
And some of those classes you remember nothing from, right?
Yeah.
That would still happen.
Fair.
And you would probably still have most people coming out of it with close to nothing. And I think just because I'm gonna censor myself a little bit, but just because I'm in the space in a few different ways. I don't know if I would trust public school to teach my kid about financial literacy. And you brought up a very good point. It's personal finance, right? Why is it called personal finance? Because it's personal, right?
It's tailored to the individual.
It's tailored to the individual, and it should change over time. I did not have the same financial situation when I became a legal adult at 18. I didn't even need to know the same stuff that I need to know now, you know.
Yeah.
But and same comment 4 5 years ago as today. You know, I'm in different stages, and these different stages push me in different directions. That said, I agree with you that just being taught like what is the stock market, that will be important, because I think well, I don't think I know that it's what's the word, cliche.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power, right? And knowledge is also like security and confidence. If you are insecure and not confident about something, like in terms of not having enough information, you're going to get scared easier, and you're going to think it's way more risky than it is. I think that most people still have the view that any type of investing is inherently risky. I don't agree. I think there's more risk to stay out of the market than there is in being in the market. There's more risk by just never letting your money grow and letting it sit in a savings account than there is buying the S&P 500 index fund. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So, but like, man, let's do some specific examples. How do you feel about people saying thing like, I was never taught how to apply for a mortgage, or I was never taught how to buy a house? Should that even be something that's taught? Like, that's really easy.
Yeah, that
Like, I don't want
specifically,
to
I
be
don't know
like,
about that.
I don't want to be like mean to anyone who like thinks it's difficult, but like it's set up to be as frictionless as possible. The bank literally just wants to give you as much money as possible without overextending the federal guidelines, right? And if you teach those federal guidelines in school, I seriously doubt anyone's going to remember it anyway. So they're going to end up going to YouTube whenever it's time to buy a home, regardless. So I don't think it's any benefit, really. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing that. Is that a benefit to that person? No, I don't think so. Anyway, like, it's really easy. Worst case, you start to apply for a home loan, and they're like, oh, we need this document, this document, this document. They walk you through the whole process. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
true. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, how do I get in contact with a broker? There's probably already a broker who put that house on the MLS, and their number's right there, and you just call them and you're like, hey, I want to buy this house. They're like, sick, let's go see it today.
Yeah. A
I
lot
don't
of
know.
that like basic information can be, you can find that information on the internet with like a quick Google search too. Especially with
Yeah,
the things like, you got the things like balancing a checkbook, which I don't know who does that anymore, but I could
I
probably
don't know.
make a Google search and figure out how to do that right now.
Well, you can make a Google search and find out what a Roth IRA is.
That too.
My point, I think my point is like, I don't think it's needed.
Okay. I have a thought. And I think maybe where I'll just say this. Classes, yes, you usually don't remember whatever it is you learn, and maybe like a class format for something like that probably wouldn't be beneficial, but I also think there's just issues with like the class format and how it is in general.
Yeah,
So
100%.
there's, just from the get-go, that's something to consider. What if does like the school system that you're a part of, do they still do those like community read things?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I maybe what I think should exist is maybe more incentive to get exposure to financial type books or financial information in some way outside of the scope of a classroom specifically. So like when I was in school, they did community reads like once a semester, where it's like they would choose a book that's like, it was always fiction. And it was like, it always had some kind of deep message. I think one of them that I remembered was that happened like when I was in school was 13 Reasons Why, which was about like depression and
Yeah,
suicide and stuff like that.
yeah.
And there was like one day in the semester where every class we were supposed to spend like 30 minutes or something talking with the instructor about a theme from the book or something like that. Maybe something like a format like that, where you are told to like, hey, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we're going to talk about it for 30 minutes in every class period. Or, hey, read Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Or,
Yeah.
you know,
Or Richest Man in Babylon or something like that.
yeah, or
Yeah.
One Up on Wall Street.
Dude. Yeah. If there was if I taught a stock course and I wouldn't do it in high school. I wouldn't even if someone asked me to, I would never do it. But if
Yeah.
I taught one in college, bro, we'd be reading that book. Such
That
a good
one
one.
would be a hard one. I mean, those would probably be harder to sell from like an incentive standpoint. Like it's probably going to be harder for students to be like, okay, I want to go pick up and read this. But like if you have like a format like that where like instructors kind of have to like talk about it for 30 minutes, so like even the students who choose not to read it will get like a spark notes version of it during the day. I still think that's going to be more beneficial because I think that'll get them thinking about it a little bit more, and they don't have to think about it as like, I have to go do my finances homework, I have to go, define these terms and terms that
Okay,
I'm going to forget
here's
what
a
they
thought.
are.
Here's a thought. What if there was like a we're putting our superintendent, we're board of education presidents right now, okay?
Yeah.
What if there was like a thing that was basically mandatory where it's like, I don't know, 20 minutes a day where, dude, I don't know. This is so tough. Honestly,
It
here's
really
my
is.
real opinion. Your parents should probably teach about this.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with
But
that.
it's
That's a
tough.
cultural
Like
issue.
it's tough for the parents to teach it something. Not making excuses on parents' behalf. I'm not a parent, so I really can't speak on it to be honest. But I think in general, it should be a cultural thing where it is okay to talk about money and how to make more of it and the power of multiple streams of income and what is a stock and why you should own them whenever you're an adult and when to
Yeah.
start, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when you were saying like, yeah, well, it's important to have conversations. That's what I got from what you just said. It's important to have conversations.
Right.
Why don't we have more time where it's just like you get to have conversations about things, but it's like structured and it's guided, you know? I
I'm
feel
here
like
for
this could
that.
be in terms of public school, it could be like once a week,
I
you
think
know?
that would be good.
Everyone kind of every instructor or teacher, whatever you want to call them, like, hey, lead an opinion-based discussion on this topic right here, where you're like clearly the leader and you want to display these few different things and it's your opinion. And then let's say you have like four teachers in a semester. Hopefully, all four of those teachers are going to get to talk about the same thing and you're going to get four different views of that thing. It could be like, I don't know, if we're talking about finance, I just thought about credit cards. People have just very crazy different opinions on credit cards. So if someone comes to talk to me, I'm like, oh yeah, get a credit card like right when you turn 18, immediately. Why don't you have one now? And here's why, and I'll give them all the reasons and I'll give the caveat of like you could totally screw yourself over really, really easily if you get stuck in a credit card debt situation. But here's how you never do that, and then I would kind of like lay out my framework. And then someone else would just have the argument of like, well, why would you ever get in that situation in the first place by having a credit card? Don't even expose yourself to the risk. Anyway, I think that could be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that too. Well, maybe not that specifically, but like I've thought about when I started to get into more like spiritual practices of like meditating or like, yoga or something. I don't know, just topics like that. I've always thought like, man, how beneficial would it be if there was like some kind of self-actualization conversations that happened,
Yeah.
in school. But then I was like, you can't really put that in a class format because that's just going to feel like a
Uh,
janky health class that
yeah.
nobody would be receptive to. And like there would, you would have to have a very particular kind of teacher to teach that class to where it would be beneficial. Otherwise, it's just going to be dull, boring, and not get across the way that you want it to be. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe a format like that where it's just like a conversation that is brought up would be really beneficial.
And
Um,
dude, every school, like for a particular county, it could just be like whatever the mascot is, and then talk at the end. You know what I mean? So like Sun Valley High School is where I went to high school, and it's like right down the road. It could be like Spartan talk, and that's like a block of the day, but it's like short. Maybe it's like right after lunch or something, or after first block. So it doesn't matter. Like some specific time And then you have like this certain rotation of like, oh, you go to your first Black teacher this day, and then this, then you that day, and then Friday it's like, I don't know, a free day or something. Talk about whatever you want, you know. Monday you're
Yeah,
supposed to talk about this, Tuesday you're supposed to talk about that, you know. And it's like guided conversations. And I would think it'd be super beneficial to keep them really short, or else it would probably, I feel like some teachers would turn it into like study hall, and they'd be like, I don't want to talk about this study hall time.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. That'd be interesting. I feel like that make teachers a better teacher too, because I feel like a lot of teachers, it's like hit or miss what teachers want to invoke regular conversation and what teachers just kind of want to talk at you. And if they're kind of
yeah,
like told like you need to lead some kind of guided conversation with the students and allow them to talk to each other and you give your opinion and listen to theirs, like it would probably, encourage you to teach that way too, which I think is a much more effective way of teaching.
I
So
agree.
yeah. Mm.
Mm,
Your
we're getting
best friend's
somewhere.
principles. That's right.
Oh,
We are going into the administration.
nah,
Nah.
nah,
It is an interesting thought experiment though. There's
yeah,
a lot of things with school that, could change and I think be really beneficial for both the students and the
I agree.
instructors.
I think knowledge is power. So it should. I mean, there should be some way to learn about it. Just in a class, it's not the way. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I
And I
mean,
don't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say finances is one of those things where it's like I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. Reading books is just like you have the top knowledge from some of the top performing killers in the world, like just at your fingertips, and you have the ability to like, learn how Ray Dalio invests, and how Peter Lynch invests.
Yep,
And it's just so beneficial to be able to have those tools at your disposal. And I think being able to like be motivated to like take a look at some of that knowledge during your high school times would be beneficial and probably more effective than like some finances teacher that probably isn't doing as well as those people. So it's like if you're
yeah,
motivated to read those things, I think it would cultivate a lot of good conversation and you would learn a lot. You'd become more financially literate quicker than if it was just in a classroom setting.
I agree. Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, I feel like this right here does not happen ever where it should happen. Like, to be honest, us talking about this on the podcast, what is this going to achieve?
That's true.
In terms of like actually moving the education system forward, probably nothing. That's a pessimistic view of it. But it's fun to talk about. But the people that should be talking about this flat out are not. Like,
Do
not even a single, probably has never come up ever.
you think it's just like a just because of like a drastic disconnection between them and the students? Just
I
like
think
not
that's part of
being
it.
like aware, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think I think most school boards like forget what the real purpose of their like position is. I would say there's two people that matter a lot in school, and then the rest matter like a little bit. So I have a counterpoint to this in just a sec, but I will say the teacher and the student are the most important individuals in a educational setting. Period. And if someone disagrees and they feel like it's the principal, I feel like the only basis you have to say anyone above the teacher is a more important entity or person is to say that without specific structure, things wouldn't be as efficient. I see that argument, but I also see that you can poke 100 million holes through it to see how inefficient it is with over structure. Way too much, way too many people looking down on this thing and having opinions about it, and forcing this thing in there and forcing this thing in there and forcing this thing in there. It's too much structure, too much red tape, too many things that you have to do and too many things that you cannot do. Way too much structure, I think, is the big issue. And all of the levels of like checking off like whether or not this is a good idea to change this thing. I think, yeah, I think that's the biggest issue with education
Yeah, I would
is
agree with that.
way too top heavy.
Yeah, and it creates a big disconnection from the top to the bottom. It's like, the principals are not as engaged with the students as much as the
No.
teachers are. They don't know what the best thing for the students are. If there is that much, that many levels between them and the students, they're not fully aware of what the students need at, particular moments in time. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that.
It's so tough though, because it's like, what do you do? Cut principal pay and pay teachers more? Like, how much is cutting principal pay really going to help pay teachers more? There's like 100 teachers to 4 principals. It's like nothing. It's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
You have to cut their pay so much they're getting paid like less than a teacher, and then it's like, well, that doesn't really make sense because they have to be there longer hours and they have more like litigation possibilities. They could get sued a lot easier. They have more students. I don't know. It's so tough.
It was tough.
Probably just the fact that government's in it is what broke it in the first place. But
yeah, I mean,
government sucks. It's not just our government that sucks. All
just government.
sucks.
Period.
Just government period sucks.
Yeah, I agree. Too much going on, too much regulation, too much getting in the way.
Yeah, too much red tape.
Too much red tape.
Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, that was good. I like that conversation. I always like talking about school, and how it could be different. It's always an interesting conversation to have. I talk about that in the context of like college a lot with some of my friends, especially in regards to computer science, making things more project based and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which is always
what's
fun.
Really, really funny.
What?
I also like talking about this, and I also like bringing it up to people who are in positions to change things. Dude, they
get uncomfortable.
I think yes, but I also think there's like this air of like, wow, you're so naive, how dare you think that you could make a difference. I'm like, damn, that's always the feeling I get whenever I bring stuff
it's just
like
that. They're just like listening to you, and the response is kind of like, oh,
it's like, oh, that's definitely interesting. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It'd be so much cooler if they just kind of put their position aside for a second and just kind of like play in the space a little bit.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
At least humor me,
Yeah.
I had a friend who, left education altogether. A few of them actually, but one, and that was his thing. He was like, when I first came into education, this was him speaking. He felt like there's so many things wrong with it, and he knows like a lot of them intimately, and he's going to learn more of the things that are wrong with education, and he wants to be able to like make a difference and help. And he said it, 7 years went by, and he at least twice a year brought this like pretty big thing where he was like, this could be optimized in this way to the administration at the school he was working at. And every single time it was just like, oh, all right, cool. No change. Nothing changes at all and he was like, well, I tried. Time to leave.
Yeah. Next.
Yep.
That's the way to lose teachers.
Teaching.
Yeah, that's why you get like bad teachers, is because you get all the good teachers that understand that there needs to be a change, and they tried to suggest some kind of change. They get written off. They get written off as like, you're just, you don't really know what's going on. You're just the teacher. And that's a big issue too, because then now you're just losing teachers. You're losing really good talent.
Or they get evaluated, and it's like, the way they're teaching is like maybe a little looser than whoever's evaluating them wanted it to be. So then they like push them to have more structure or whatever the case may be. And it's like, well, you could have made that lesson happen like a little shorter. And you're like, no, but the point was to make it longer, like so we could have some conversation around it. And it's like, oh, we could have used a little more technology in this lesson. It's like,
but a lot of weird metrics.
I didn't need it. Just random boxes that they have to check. And they even say like, oh, it's just random boxes that we have to check. But even still, You get feedback that's like, should have used more technology, and you're like, well, I didn't need it in this lesson. I didn't think that would be the most effective. Like, well, you should have made more real world ties. Oh, okay. All right. I understand.
So interesting.
I can't disagree. They should make more real. I don't know. The whole situation is tough.
It is tough. It's a hard problem to solve.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm just a software engineer. I don't know anything about anything.
Except for software engineering.
Yeah, except software engineering. Not schools, not teaching. I can teach some stuff, but
some drums.
I can teach some drums, and I can probably teach some software engineering, but not high school.
Yeah.
Or middle school.
Oh, middle school. Good God. You're a special type of person, man. If you can teach middle school,
I was about to
you got
say,
superpowers.
Think you could do it? What about elementary school?
I think elementary school will be really fun, but no, I would never do it. I would
just
do it
for
for
a
a
year,
day.
just to try it.
No, one day.
One day. Oh my God, elementary.
I think my issue would be like, I don't even want these kids to have to sit and learn. I'd be like, let's just play. Like,
let's go for a walk. Let's go for a little nature
I'd be like,
walk.
all right, today's science lesson is look at that bug right there. That's a beetle.
That's
all right, moving on. What color is it? That's right, it's green. Good job.
That's right. I'm gonna start talking to you guys about physics and how things move, and the way I'm gonna do that is by playing Foursquare with you guys. Watch me throw this ball.
100%.
Yes. Or let's play some basketball. That's funny.
Great.
Yeah, dude.
Block some kid's shot. You're like, oh, and he falls over. You're like, that's inertia, baby.
Savage. Teacher's like, damn.
Bust him
kids. Oh my God.
Anyway.
Got any thoughts for the week or thoughts of the week?
Yeah, I got one thought of the week that's like just random. It's so hard to get a YouTube channel to grow. So that's my only thought.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's like I just want people to know this information. But it's like really hard to get the views so that people know, people have to see it.
Yeah.
To hear the information.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Think a lot about the algorithm, how things are presented to us. You know what I was thinking about the other day? I was wondering if like, do you have Spotify or like Apple Music or one of those like music players or anything like that?
I have Amazon Music.
Do you ever like listen to like a playlist and then you like decide you want to shuffle it and like the next song that comes up is a song you haven't listened to in a long time?
Yeah.
That like whenever that happens to me, I think about like I'm like really curious if there's an underlying algorithm to shuffling like a music playlist, or if it is purely shuffled. Like I always wondered if like shuffling, there's some kind of equation that equates or that like takes into account rather like how many times you've listened to a particular song, and it's like that kind of influences.
Like there probably is.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my thought of the week. I thought about that a couple times this week.
Just how shuffle works.
Yeah, just like if there's an underlying algorithm under shuffling through a playlist of music. It's interesting.
We should have a Spotify engineer on and ask him.
We should.
Or her.
Yes.
Them.
Who knows?
2022.
We need a guest on here. We need to get a guest on here though.
Oh, I know. I'm working on it.
We'll get there.
We'll get somebody there. Yes. We're also gonna do some kind of review soon.
Yes. Yeah. Next episode might be in person. In the same room.
Ooh. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Whatever it is, I'm excited for it.
Me too. Agreed.
What are we gonna review?
I don't know.
We'll talk about it.
Some kind of drink.
If you have thoughts, comment below. If you're still on the podcast, comment below.
we're gonna review HomeBiotic. You just spray it in my face. And
Speaking of HomeBiotic, here she is. I didn't give her a shout out today. She's great. Sean said beneficial earlier, but it was still kind of like we're kind of in the thick of it. So I was like, I better not derail this and talk about HomeBiotic, because I was gonna say, you know what else is beneficial? That beneficial bacteria in HomeBiotic. I was like, this will be the perfect segue, but no, it was too serious still, so decided not to.
You just completely interrupt me.
Just completely
You know what
derail you. Like,
else?
yeah,
That's funny. Yes,
that would be a
HomeBiotic.
conversation killer. Yeah, check it out. Link in the description. Great product.
The good stuff. Amazing.
Well,
Well,
wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do it.
You do the YouTube thing, Sean.
Yes.
Ah.
Make sure you like, subscribe, comment anything. We like to read the comments. They're fun.
Anything. Even just
Literally
the words
anything.
for the algorithm.
Yes, send it to a friend right now. Right now, as you're listening to this, click the little share button, send it to your friend and be like, hey, I think you might like this. Or, hey, I don't think you'll like this, but you should try it anyway, because you might. I don't know. And then we are also on Spotify, so go check us out on Spotify and subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, come check us out on YouTube, because we do have a visual element to it. You can see our beautiful faces and the articles that we talk about. So
yes. Great job, Sean.
Thanks.
All right. It's been your best friends. It's Austin and
it's Sean. Thank you.
We love you.
We love you.